How good is Kyler Murray?
He's, we kind of laughed on Sunday night. You think about how many people play baseball, in the world, and they only found out that there's only 8 people that they think the GMs think he's better than him. So, I mean, he's an exceptional athlete. The one thing he doesn't get enough credit for is his arm. I mean, he can spin it. So, I mean, he makes some of the same throws that Baker makes, and then he can get himself out of trouble and utilize his legs, and he's starting to get a complete grasp of their system, and to me, he's like top 3 or 4 players, when you're talking about Heisman's.
How weird would that be, to repeat Heisman's?
We'll see.
What did you, when it was all said and done, what did you think of Chris and Devontae's day Saturday?
Well, I thought, obviously Chris struggled a little bit. It's probably the first time I've seen him kind of lose his composure a little bit in terms of his fundamentals. But we rolled back in, talked to him, get him back right. I thought Devontae, I thought he played solid. The one PI was, got kind of tripped up. So, but it's just got to continue. The one thing about that position, I've talked to you guys about this beforehand. It's a lonely existence out there, and like I said, I always say to myself is, how can I help? So we can do some more things able to help him out, but he's had 2 really good days of practice, so has Devontae, and I expect those guys to play big on the Saturday.
Because of his size, because of his elusiveness, and also because of his professional future, he does a really good job of, among other things, avoiding hits really well. Is there an emphasis this week?
What are you talking about, Murray?
About Murray. Is there an emphasis this week to say, hey, if we can get a hit on him, make sure we get a hit?
No, I mean, to me, it's just play ball. I mean, it's a game. The biggest thing that we have to do is we've got to run with numbers to get to him, because, I mean, a guy one-on-one with him, we're talking about maybe 2 out of 10 if you let him do it one-on-one. I mean, that's how talented he is. So just like anybody else that's really fast, like their receivers, like their running backs, the way to tackle guys in space is to have 2 or 3 guys that are around the football to be able to help the guy that's taking a shot at him. But we have to have fanatical effort to get to the football, because that's how they get all their explosive plays. Is they get guys in one-on-ones, and once they make the first guy miss, and probably 90% of the time they do that, the ball's down the sideline. So we got to do a great job of using our speed and getting to the football.
Coach, I know you guys got the want-to-know mentality, but how do you can do that for an OU weekend? Because no matter what, guys are going to get up for the game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's I kind of let it unfold. I mean, I'm relatively new to this, so, but I watch Brecken Hager, I watch Charles Omenihu, Anthony Wheeler, and I watch those guys dial it up a little bit. So, we understand what's on the line. I don't think we have to talk about it. Herm is trying to get these guys, hey, this is the moment we're in right now. Let's make sure that we're doing things by routine. We're not going to change just because it's OU. Let's make sure we do the things the way that we've done in the last couple of weeks. So, but I know this, that in that locker room and with those kids, I mean, it's, they'll be ready. I mean, we won't have to worry about motivating those guys for this week.
How much lightning time have you played?
A decent amount. We played a little bit more last year, but it all depends on personnel. So we try to match that up based on what they come out in. So, I mean, last year was probably a little bit different because we played it towards the tail end of the season, a lot of 4 receiver sets. So that's what it's ideally built for. But, mixing and matching and having the ability to do some of that stuff versus other personnels, we'll probably dabble in it, but it's kind of been right now kind of 50-50.
What's the reason for playing Hager and Omenihu more at the tackle on first and second down and moving them outside?
Just the rush. That's it. So, first and second down philosophy around here is stop the run. And then we can create pressure with those guys, but then when we get into third down, especially in predictable third downs, it's much easier to rush on the outside. So that's what we do.
I think one of OU's big touchdown plays last year was on a miscommunication by your guys.
The switch.
The switch, yeah. And I wonder, how much more confident do you feel about your guys now, another year in the system? Just like the offense.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, I'll give you an example. Like we watched K-State's film last week, going prepared, and we're watching guys, and there are some parts you just cringe. You're like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And then you watch us show up and play. And the same thing with USC. There was moments last year. So I think collectively we've got a better grasp of the system, and I think just guys understand a little bit more of what's going on. But, obviously we've prepared for that. We know they're going to run it at some point, so we practice it like crazy.
Sure.
Any rush Kyler Murray? different breed.
Yeah, it's,
So-
to me, you've got to control the pocket, and, once he gets out in space, I mean, it's hard,
Yeah.
it's hard to get him down, so, but the one thing about it is, he can throw the football, so it's how much you commit to going after him and how much you commit to cover him, because he's so dynamic, and he can make all the throws, and that's kind of the chess match right now
Yeah.
going into this game.
So full out blitz coming.
Well,
You better get him.
Well, it's not to get him part of it. It's one-on-one with CD and friggin' Hollywood, and
right.
it's you better cover those guys. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
that kind of matchup.
How nice would it be to have BJ Foster back for this?
Well, I think BJ is working himself back into the lineup. I don't know. Obviously, when you're talking about things like that, you're, safety's first. But we'll see how he progresses.
But it seems like over the past few weeks, once your defense kind of figures out their opponents, you guys start to kind of lock things down. How much of that is just guys settling down? How much of that's in-game adjustments by you?
No, I think it's more settled down, and there's some in-game stuff, like, you finally figure out, okay, this is the way they want to attack us, and we can't do this, we got to do this. But I think it's settled down. I remember, the first quarter of last year's game versus these guys, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, everybody take a deep breath around here, and then we got into the second half, and if you look at us, last week the exception, but we've been starting off a little slow. So we've been trying like crazy, like Herm will go fast start in practice, like put the ball down right after stretch. Let's play. Let's learn how to play like full speed right off the bat. So I think we'll get better at that. But that's a point of emphasis this week is, they got after our tails last year. I mean, the first quarter, it was like everybody stopped for a second. Let's get our composure and start playing with these guys. So it's been addressed.
With Rodney Anderson out, how would you describe, Sermon, Pleasure?
Well,
Brooks?
Sermon played against us, and he ran the ball at us pretty good. So, I mean, they're all explosive guys, and the system is set up is to get those guys the ball in space. And when they get the ball in space and you don't have the correct numbers out there, they're gone. So all those guys, that's how, to me, a great offense is built with, having running backs and pounding the football, and then having two missiles on the outside, and then having a quarterback that can make all the throws, and then he can run. This isn't some kind of like, luck that Oklahoma's had the best offense in the country for the last 4 years. This is scheme and players and a play caller that's dynamic. Lincoln Riley's a dynamic play caller, and when he gets you on the ropes, he can finish you.
Is he the fastest quarterback you've faced?
Me personally,
Yeah,
he's up there. Had to defend Pat White and RG3 and Denard Robinson, those type of guys.
Right.
So I would say he's in the ballpark of those guys.
Their tight ends have ridiculous yards per catch numbers.
Yeah.
What are they doing with those guys?
Well, some of it is, schematic, but some of it is just people are so concerned about CD and Hollywood. It's, they get a lot of one-on-ones. So, and they do a good job of finishing, and they flex them out too. So that's not your typical tight end position. They'll find themselves out in the slot. Andrews was a really good player last year for him. He did the same exact stuff. So, they play him differently.
The guard tackle counter that Oklahoma runs, what's the key to the guard tackle counter that they run? What's the key to stopping that? And do you have like a philosophy that you normally approach that with, like spilling it, squeezing it?
Well, I think any time that somebody tries to kick you out, if you can get both guys with one player, that's going to add one more number to you. So, but they do an exceptional job of doing it out of so many different formations, which is, their bread and butter. And I will say this, dating back to when I was at Houston and played them, they do as good a job as blocking pressure. When you try to pressure their counter, they do as good a job as anybody I've seen in terms of picking up people and splitting you. So something we have to work at, but at the end of the day, it's trying to just get numbers to that side to be able to, to handle it.
You mentioned that you were new to this, but several coaches, I know y'all been in big environments and all that,
Yeah.
but this is different, right?
Yeah, to me, it's it's different because of what this great state represents. You know what I'm saying? So there's you feel a big responsibility to making sure that your guys are prepared and they show up and they play. So that's the part of it there. We've all been in big games beforehand, but talking about the state of Texas and you're talking about Texas football, this place is something special.
Yeah.
Thank you, Todd.
Appreciate
Okay, guys, thank you.
You sleep this week?
Yeah, so this week. Yeah.
Okay. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Your whole line graded out at a championship level?
Last week, yeah, we played pretty clean football last week. Did a good job of getting hats on hats.
Yeah.
We had obviously had a couple of issues here and there. We had one penalty on Shaq that was an effort penalty, but we played clean on the road. So if you don't have procedure penalties and missed snaps and things of that nature, that really helps when you're on the road. So we did a good job of getting hats on hats. And we got to get better movement
Right.
at times, but they all graded out pretty well.
Did you give more points for the way y'all closed out the game, the last 6-minute drive or whatever it was?
They don't get any more points for that, but the last 4 games, to be able to finish a game with possession of the ball,
Yeah.
is a big deal. When you get the ball back with a lead, and you're able to maintain possession of it, that's the best defense. Is a great offense in that situation, and the guys have certainly done a great job of that. And again, that's a direct reflection of Yancey McKnight and his staff and the way they prepare those guys during the summer.
Did the personal foul on Shaq impact his going back into the game?
No. I just, it was Shaq's first game back, and it was our plan all along to put him in the third series, and see how he felt, to get him greased up a little bit, and then but that did not impact it at all. Even Shaq graded out at a championship level, even though he didn't play enough plays to qualify. You have to play a minimum of 20 plays to kind of qualify to get that recognition. But
But you only
he
had
played
one
15
offensive
snaps.
touchdown.
Yes.
You would think championship level, that means somebody else must have been screwing up, right?
No, it was that game was exactly what we thought it was going to be. We said it was going to be a fist fight game.
Right.
We had one offensive touchdown. Here's how we had 8 possessions the entire game, which normally you're going to have 12 to 15 possessions, somewhere in that range. Okay, so we had 8 possessions the entire game. So we scored a touchdown. We kicked a field goal. Okay, we missed a field goal on one possession. We ended the game with possession of the ball in the red zone. So that was 4 possessions there. So then you had other 4 possessions. We had 1 3 and out, and then we had, I guess, 3 punts, okay, in those 8 possessions. So, yeah, would we have liked to have scored more? Absolutely. You always want to score every time you have possession of the ball. But the big thing that we did was we didn't turn the ball over. We had, I think, 3 drives, maybe 4 drives that were in double-digit numbers. We opened up, plays. So we opened up the game with a 12-play drive. We didn't get any points out of it, which is not the ending that you want. But you're able to flip the field, move the football, and then make it tough on them, to drive against our defense. So there were some positives of it. Of course, we want to score more, but that was just the nature of the game, and we knew that going in that it was going to be that type of game.
Does Shaq start this week, or is it Elijah and he's still on a pitch count?
Right now, we're going to see how the rest of the week of practice goes.
Can you? I know y'all don't run the triple option, but can y'all take things from Army, and why did Army get so many opportunities against their defense to stay on the field?
We
Can
look
you learn
at
from other films
we
like
look
that?
at all the film and all that stuff, but really from a schematic standpoint, it doesn't fit what we do. But from a philosophical standpoint, I think you go back to what we were just talking about. Possession of the ball. I don't know how many possessions Oklahoma had in that game from an offensive perspective, but I know Army at one point had like a 21-play drive. Right. So those are things that you want to look at, is possession of the football. Particularly when you're playing against a great offense, and they've got a very explosive offense. So, and T.O. and his staff will do a great job of having a plan ready. But again, the best offense or the best defense is an offense, so we can keep possession of the ball.
How's Keontae looking to you?
He's looking great. He's a young back. He's still got a lot to learn, but natural ability wise, skill set wise, he's what you want. There's still some things with his reads and things of that nature that he's got to get coached up on. And Coach Drayton does an unbelievable job with that running back. So we're excited about him as we go forward.
The tight end's blocking.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Absolutely. We've got great. Andrew Beck has been a warrior in there, and then Cade comes in and does a great job, and we got Reese as well. So we got 3 really good, solid tight ends.
You guys got a fun name for the package where Calvin splits out wide and runs a little.
Nah, that's just a little little fun play that we run.
What's
Little-
got to happen in the red zone? Herb, it's been tough.
Yeah,
sledding.
so, again, going back, you look at the red zone, like I know that, I think right now we're low in terms of red zone scoring, right? So, one of our goals, when you look at, our plan to win around here is to score touchdowns in the red zone and then prevent the opponent from scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So, when you get down to the red zone, the field gets constricted, right? So everything happens a little bit faster. You've got to have great execution. The best way to score touchdowns is to run the ball into the end zone. Because of the nature of the fact that the field gets constricted, it's a lot tougher to find open zones in passing. So the best way to do it is to run it in, right? Well, like I said earlier, we've got to get better movement up front. That's gonna be a big part of us being able to do that. When we do have those scoring situations, we got to punch it in. Now, possession of the ball, right? 2 of our red zone, where they say, well, you didn't score in the red zone. We were ending the game with the ball in the red zone, right? So, when you look at it holistically, there's some things that factor into that. The bottom line is, we want to know last week. We want to know this week, and we'll work to do that.
Is there a little bit of extra pressure on those first scripted plays, like get a one-on-one matchup with Devin, get that post route? If you miss that, is that something where that might not be there again as they adjust to it?
Not necessarily. It's something as the game goes on. Now, when we come out and we have some plays in mind that we want to open up the game with, sure, you'd like to hit those, and you take those shots on downs where it makes sense, When we miss a shot play, we tell our guys before the game, hey man, we're gonna throw the ball down the field. We're gonna press them vertically. When we miss, we're not gonna be able to hit them all. Nobody bats 100. On those, or bats 1,000, I guess would be the proper term. But nobody bats 100%. Okay, on those deals, right? But you want to take those shots anyway, right? And but when you do throw it down the field, if it's incomplete, it can't be, no, it's just an incomplete pass. Move on to the next play. What do we got to do to be efficient on the next play? So now when you hit them, everybody gets excited, right? And we've hit our fair share as well. So, we'll continue to have great shot play plan going into each game, and hopefully we'll hit more than we miss.
What do you think this offense is doing well, and where do you think the areas are for improvement?
One of the things we're doing well, as we alluded to earlier, it's just being able to finish the games the way we want to, with the lead and possession of the ball, and that's been really big. If you think about the last four, our 4 wins right there, we've finished every game taking a knee to end the game. That's a big deal. The areas we've got to improve, we've got to get better movement in the run game. We're like I said, we're getting hats on hats. We're not really displacing guys the way that we need to displace them. So that's been a point of emphasis. We've got to score more in the red zone. This is not the type of game, nor do we want to kick field goals, right? You got to score touchdowns. That's the nature of the business, right? Scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So we've got to be better there. I think over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've been better on third down. Early on in the season, we weren't very good on third down, and we're starting to get better batting percentage on third down. So those are all things that we look at is being efficient in our run game, being able to convert on third down and score touchdowns in the red zone.
What impresses you about OU's defensive front?
They're explosive. They've got big guys that are hard to move, and they've got fast guys that you got to keep track of. So and then what they do from a schematic standpoint. Some of the movement things that they present you with, you just got to be on point against them at all times. They can be very disruptive if you don't get hats on hats.
Why does it seem like Kenneth Murray's all over the place?
Because he is. I mean, he's a very active player.
Do they move him around to do that?
Yeah, they do in different packages and different. They have different sub packages they work out of, and he's a guy that you got to know where he's at on the field.
Right.
Blitzing much?
They do in some third down stuff. They got some exotic blitzes on third down that you just got to, again, keep hats on hats is the biggest thing.
He's not a guy they would ever use as a spy. He's coming every.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I mean, there's you never say never. I mean,
Right.
they may have a plan for this, that, and the other, but we'll see how the game goes. But he's certainly he's a great player,
Sure.
and you know, we got to keep track of him.
Your line outside of your big six, you know, how many guys do you have you feel confident that could play for you?
The 7, 8, and 9 guys are yet to be tested. So, you know, we'll see. Those guys, you're not going to make it through an entire season, you know, with just 6. It doesn't, I've never been able to do that. So, you know, hopefully we do. We'll see. But those 7, 8, 9 guys are developing. You know, they're having a greater understanding of not only assignment-wise right now, we're pretty locked and loaded assignment-wise, right? So technique and fundamentals are where they're developing, and they're getting more consistency there.
What's the latest on
Time for a
Patrick
couple last
Hudson?
ones.
Say it again?
Patrick Hudson.
Oh yeah, Pat's been in the meetings. He's under protocol with you know, with the medical staff in terms of his ability to whenever he can get back on the field. But
Right.
he's been in the meetings, and man, it was great to get him back.
This is going to be your first, obviously, Texas OU game.
Yes.
What are people, you know, telling you about it, and are you, you know, looking forward to this?
Yeah, you know, fortunately, over the last several years, I've been able to be a part of some really big rivalry games and understand the importance of rivalry games. You know, I think that this one is probably, I've never been to one that's where they have the state fair going on at the same time. People say that's a pretty neat deal. But once you get on the field and the game starts, you know, and you kick the ball off, it really is a football game. And the rivalry part of it is important. Absolutely, it's extremely important to a lot of people, you know, and we understand that. But, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to going out on the game or on the game field and executing, and you know, there's maybe, is there a little bit more intensity to it? Yeah, absolutely. But you know, we're preparing exactly how we prepare for every game.
Do you think it compared to Auburn, Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, you know, a huge college football fan, obviously,
Right.
and so I've watched this game many
Right.
times.
Right.
But not having been a part of it, you know, there's a few rivalry games around the country that you could say are all, you know, you've got Auburn, Alabama, and Michigan, Ohio State, and you know, you got Army, Navy, and
Yeah.
Harvard, Yale, and I mean, there's some big ones,
Does
right?
it feel like Auburn, Alabama week?
Yeah, it does. But even for that game, you just prepare each week to go out and play the best you can.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for us, we're in a bunker. You know, so you're in there and we're just grinding on film and getting ready to play the next team. It just so happens that it's a big rivalry game, but you know, in terms of preparation and stuff, it's always the same. You have a process that you go
The
through.
coaches get goosebumps just like players games like this.
Well, you know, yeah, and you go out on the field and the crowd's there and it gets exciting, and then the game starts and
Yeah.
you're back and zeroed in on what do you have to do to help your team win.
How much of the
One last one.
sustained drives is play calling?
It's play execution more than play calling. You know, I mean, you know, you can call quarterback sneak, and if everybody executes it great, it's designed to score a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? So, what it really boils down to is execution, and our guys having an understanding of situational football. That's the other part of it. And Coach Herman has been, you know, we have so many sessions during training camp that are, we call it grind, 4 minute, okay, 4 minute offense, hurry, 2 minute offense, okay, red zone, third downs, backed up, right, balls on the -1. We got to get better at that situation because we haven't been very good at it this year so far. But we work those things all throughout training camp so that when you get into those situations in games, you've been there before. And, you know, that's one thing that Tom is just huge on is situational football, so, and having situational awareness.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, appreciate it.